Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gap Fillers podcast. The big controversy this week, it happens to be Bad Bunny and the Super Bowl. I intend for this to be a short episode because I care about neither. The Super Bowl has become this big monstrosity of a thing for as long as I've been alive. And for the halftime performers to even give one lick about, I had to go all the way back to 2010. And that was with The Who. That was the last one that I could really find that I would even know most of their music from. So I don't really have that big of a fight in there because overall the conquering or the switch in cultural narratives really happened under Obama, and since 2010 is really the last time that I could have given a lick about who played at the Super Bowl halftime show. In fact, I could not watch the Super Bowl at all right now, and I could care less. I used to love football, but this is a very, let's just say, distraction. Very huge distraction, I think would be the right term. It's not a very uniting thing anymore, primarily because we're not a united country. And in fact, it happened around the late 2000s. Obama really started it, or really consolidated it, so to speak. But, since the Bush era and the splintering over the wars, whether that was right or wrong, they have really upped the cultural splitting, and then 2016, 2020, we've just started to drift farther and farther apart. So all in all, I don't care about the Super Bowl that much. Another reason not to care about the Super Bowl, it's the bread and circuses of the modern Rome. Now, I've mentioned several times on this podcast that I despise linking everything that I believe politically to Rome because, frankly, you can do that with everyone. Bernie Sanders can do that with America to ancient Rome, and so can everybody else because, frankly, you're seeing a complete mirroring of all the symptoms that happened throughout that. Now you're seeing history doesn't actually ever repeat itself; it mirrors itself. So you often see what you want to see throughout history, and you usually ignore what you don't want to see. So, but overall, America is following that very unique thing that mirrored Rome. Whereas the UK didn't really mirror Rome because they died out through a large war and whimpering and empire breaking up. They mirrored almost more like maybe an Athens or maybe a Byzantine Empire, so to speak, just over a long attrition of wars and people breaking away and independent states becoming, the empire becoming independent states, so to speak. Or maybe the Holy Roman Empire. Maybe that's a better way of thinking about it, or the Carolingian Empire. There's not very much... modern times the world is globalistic now, so it's very hard to identify unique 100% all the way around the board. But like I said, the Super Bowl, sports in general tend to be the main distraction, and I hate it because there's so much going on in the world, and as conservatives in general, I see the Republicans and libertarians and all they don't care enough, right? So if you hate football, it's easy for you to say that, but then you get sucked in video games. Or if you like video games, it's easy to point at football, and you both put your heads in the sand, and very very little ever gets done because there's too much to do, or we get busy with life, which is understandable. I do too. I just want to state that I just want people to know, or to be aware of what they're doing. Every time I waste time, I should know that I'm wasting my life. My country is falling apart, and I'm wasting my time. And yes, there's more to be done, and you should enjoy life. That's not what I'm saying, that you should just have a terrible life. But overall, there's always a distraction. There's always that new show on Mondays, and then there's that sporting event on Thursdays. And then by the time you get throughout the week, all you've had is distractions, and nothing has gotten done. And I single out conservatives in particular because they're so pro-policy, but never want to protest, never want to organize. They pro-Second Amendment, but never want to actually organize. No, they'll go to the conventions, but they'll never actually regulate the militia, so to speak. They'll never go out and protest. In fact, the only protest I can ever think of is the March for Life and the January 6th protest. Other than that, I don't know any Republicans that go out and protest. Almost everyone I know, I say almost because I know a few of you watch, and you're not Republicans. I get it. But overall, most people I know are conservatives, and they are consistently blinding themselves with sports, with fill in the blank thing that doesn't matter in the long run. And they'll complain. They'll say, "Oh, these protesters going out there and causing problems." Well, it's an effective policy that it gets them attention, and frankly, it's part of the reason why Trump is having such a hard time figuring out who to sucker up to in the Republican Party, because nobody is taking the bull by the horns and leading into the next step, or then leading to the next policy. Everyone's kind of following Trump and his cues, or they're splintering off because Trump is suckering up to the establishment. I'm a huge Thomas Massey guy. If you've watched any of my podcasts before, you know that. And he consistently wants to single out him, but won't single out Lindsey Graham, or won't single out Turtlehead, or won't single out any of the swamp monsters that he was so vehemently against all the way up through 2020. He's in bed with. So why he singles out two of the best people in Congress, I don't know. But I do know. But it's this weird thing where we end up distracting ourselves. It's distractingism. It's basically you. It's a drug. It's an opiate for the masses, so to speak. You don't want to feel like you have responsibility. So it either must be Jesus is coming back tomorrow, which I don't say it's not end times. However, nobody knows the time nor the hour. Rome can fall, the U.S. can fall, and you don't know. And so you should act like he's not coming back, and you need to save your country. Or if your country is not important to you, then you need to live for God and win as many souls as possible. So this is a message primarily towards my conservative friends and colleagues that watch this podcast every so often or on a regular basis, is that we need to find a way to organize, and we need to find a way to stop with distractions. Improve your life. If you think America's going to fall, if you're one of these people that hoards precious metals because you think, but precious metals isn't going to save you. You can't eat silver. And you can't do everything. No man's an island. And so you need to specialize in your own friend group, in your friend groups, and you need to learn how to defend each other. You need to learn how to organize or where to go and have a plan in place on a larger scale other than your family. Because at the end of the day, you're going to need a group. You're going to, if the U.S. breaks up or gangs take over or the U.S. becomes a shell of its former self, you're going to need a plan in place. And you're not going to be able to do it with 5 people, 6 people, 7 people. You're going to need 100, 200, 300, thousands. So that is my message and my take on the Super Bowl is, I don't care, and it's a waste of time, and it's a distraction from the real things that matter in life, all of which don't revolve around football. Thank you for joining me for this really short episode. I look forward to having more different things like Florida history for cultural references because people that have lived in Florida their entire life don't know Florida history. They don't know about the different unique things that Florida has, because Florida has been flooded with so many people from outside the state. So I look forward to bringing that more to light, mostly through shorts probably, and that will help expand the reach and the cultural aspect, but bring it back to Florida and why Florida is culturally important, and where we come from. And if you live here, you shouldn't seek to change the state into something it's not. You shouldn't seek to change it into where you came from. You should seek to preserve Florida to be what it has been throughout history, and have tourists, but have them go back. Thank you for joining me, and subscribe, like the video, comment what you think the biggest distraction is, or what you thought about the Bad Bunny halftime show. I don't care, whatever you'd like to talk about. Thank you for joining me, and have a good week, and see you on the next episode.